There is a certain satisfaction that comes with leaving strongly worded comments, aka curses and insults, on that YouTuber who keeps on criticizing your favorite or is saying something that doesn't agree with your own opinion, or is simply irritating. There are some people like that, they just hit us the wrong way. After all, if they have the guts to broadcast their views, then they should have the strength to bear all the hate comments that comes their way, right? I'll let you in on a secret. Each time you leave a hate comment, you're actually helping that video. Yep, YouTube counts that as engagement, and YouTube loves engagement. So if your intention is to hurt that video or YouTuber, congratulations, you just did the exact opposite. As a bonus, you also humiliated yourself. You just show the world that you don't have the most basic quality a decent human being should have: politeness. Keep it up.
I just want to share. It's so hard to keep track of conversations and of comments sometimes, especially if you have a lot coming in, because YouTube actually defaults to putting comments on top, the latest comments on top. And so if you're trying to follow a conversation, and there are a lot of new comments coming in, it can get buried. So the only way for us to know that somebody responded to us is if we get at. So if you at me, then I would know that you responded. YouTube is actually going to notify me, then I can go to that specific thread. If, however, like there is no at and I just want to follow a conversation, I will have to scroll through it if there are new ones that come in. So that's one of the different. I wish there's a way like for YouTube to give us to mark certain conversations so that we can follow that. But I do try to screen every comment that comes in. But the question is, how do I know if the person who leaves a comment is just an idiot or just a hater, or just trying to create chaos? There are also people that may not be an idiot, but they're lazy to think. And some people are just intentionally trying to be annoying. So, but the one great sign would be when they attack me personally instead of sticking with the facts. So if I say something, so for example, this is just an example. If I say that there are 500 people who are living, 5 million people or 50 million people, for example, I say that living under the poverty level in Zimbabwe, for example, and somebody says that you're looking down on these people, that you're hating on them, that you're insulting them, that would be an idiotic comment, or you're just trying to create chaos, or you're just a hater, because the proper way to respond to that is to question the statistics that I presented. So if you can present that there aren't 50 million people under poverty level, there's actually just 5 million or 500,000 and not 50 million as I claim. Sticking with the facts is the best way to respond to a comment. Another great example of that would be, so I posted a video on the origin of itas, and I talked about Austronesians being the origin of itas, and Austronesians, according to my research, came from Africa. So I mentioned that. And then somebody said that I was riding the coattails of the Black Lives Matter movement. And I'm like, I never said African Americans, I said Africans. African Americans aren't the only Africans in the world. So that's number one. Number two, if I am wrong, and a lot of people actually presented many studies and many evidence stating that I am wrong. But if I am wrong and the Austronesians actually didn't come from Africa, then present your study. Why do you have to insult me for it? Just say that I'm wrong, and according to this study, according to this archaeologist or historian or evidences, the Austronesians actually didn't come from Africa. So state that. Why do you have to insult me for it? Just because I presented a wrong study doesn't mean that I am that I'm riding in the coattails of whoever. Okay. So that's a clear indication. If you are questioning the motive, you're talking about the person, the personality of my personality, rather than questioning the facts that I'm presenting. Next is that if they refute things I never said, and this is always the funniest. I'm like, why are you saying, why are you refuting things I never said? Where did that come from? One example would be, when I compare the version of Morissette and Sharon Regis, their versions of Wag Ka Nang Bumitaw. And in the end, so I was comparing them, like the difference in how they interpreted the song and stuff. And then at the end, I just said, oh, but I prefer Sharon's version. And then somebody came in and said that Morissette's version is more popular, and that it is not the better. I'm wrong. That the Morissette's version is actually the better version. I'm like, I never said it's the better version though. I said that my preference is Sharon's version. I never said it's a better version. So where's this anger coming from? So that's another sign. Like, they would refute things I never said. So basically, putting words into my mouth. Next is when the commenter talks about unrelated things. I think I had a video talking about the history of child marriage in Asia, and somebody commented about how backwards the Asians are when it comes to disciplining our children, because we hit our children. And I mean, historically, we do. Not everyone does that, but there's a lot of countries that still do it. As a way of discipline, they would spank their children and stuff like that. And so I don't know if it's a he or a she or whatever, but the person that commented talked about how backwards that is. And I was like, okay, look, I respect your opinion if that is your opinion. I'm not interested in it. But the other thing is that has absolutely no relation to what I was talking about. I was talking about specifically this case of this girl. I think it was a Thai girl who were married off to a 32-year-old or 52-year-old man or something like that. So yeah, when they start talking about totally unrelated things, and I guess the most common really is when I post about a certain artist, and a fan of another artist would come in and comment and talk about their favorite artist. I'm like, that has no relation. I was talking about this specific artist. Why are you talking about that artist? Next is the most common. This is the most common thing that people do when they say something that they don't like. So they question my credentials instead of sticking to the fact. There was a video. It was quite some time ago. I think I did a reaction for one Filipino boy band. It wasn't SB19. It was somebody else, and I talked about how a specific dancer, when I paused in a certain section, I said that dancer, that member did not complete the movement. And one of the things that dancers have to do is to actually complete the movement. So so if the dance step calls for you to raise your hand fully, then you should raise your hand fully. Because if one member does not, then it's going to look incohesive. That whole choreography could look incohesive. That's one. Number two, that person is going to look quote unquote lazy. And then here comes all the haters saying that, well, who are you to comment on his skills? He's a b-boy champion for 2 years or something. I'm like, I don't care. He's a b-boy champion for 10 years. Truth is that he did not complete the movement. So look at everybody else. They completed the movement. He did not. That's a fact. You can't question that. We all see it. So the truth is that just because somebody doesn't have a credential on something doesn't automatically exclude them from talking about something or doing something to that effect. Okay, let me make it more concrete. So 99% of movie directors or TV directors aren't actors. They're not cinematographers either. But here they are telling the actors how to act out a scene, how to deliver an emotion. They motivate the actors. What right do they have if they're not actors? They tell the cinematographers how to light a scene. They're not cinematographers. What right do they have to tell the cinematographer how to light a scene? The same thing is true with a producer in a track, in a song. How can they coach a singer how to sing when they're not singers? They're producers, right? So just because I'm not an expert on something doesn't mean I can criticize that thing. What you need is a vision. That's why directors and that's why being a critic or being a director is a skill in itself. That's an expertise in itself. You're in charge of the overall vision and how to achieve that vision. You don't necessarily have to be an expert in each of the field. All right. Then the next one would be when we reply to these haters, it does not land well on them, so they don't take it well. So just because we're YouTubers, just because we're putting our faces and our ideas and our voices out there, doesn't mean that we will just take all the abuse and all the hate that we're getting. We're human too. We can respond. So if I respond, or if I respond, or some YouTubers respond to these people and they don't take it well, then you know that they're just out there to hate. A lot of these people think that, just as I've said, just because we're here putting ourselves out there to the world means that we will take the abuse. Sorry, that's not how it works. If you exercise your right to express yourself freely, then we have the right to do it too. Just be ready for the consequences. What I'm saying, you cussed, you hated, you cursed, you insulted, then be ready to take the same thing in return. For the most part, I try very, very hard to pull the conversation conversation back into something progressive, but some of them don't respond very well to that. But in the same breath, there are comments that I really, really love. I created this channel not because I wanted to flaunt my expertise. I always say I'm not an expert on things. I'm not an expert painter, or not an expert musician or whatever. But I created a channel to create conversations. I really love yes, I do love Philippine culture and Philippine arts, but I do love Asian arts and Asian culture, Asian history. I love it. And I like talking about it, and I think I am achieving it, because there are a lot of people who come back, they comment on things that I post, and that's and then they share their own knowledge, and that's the whole point of this channel. So when somebody comes in and correct me, for as long as it is done respectfully, and that it does not, they're not insulting me and simply correcting me, that is fine. That is why I created the channel. So when you do it, when you correct me and you present evidence and you present facts, I'm fulfilling the objective of the channel. And there's a lot of people who do that. I think so. This video that I posted on the history of ITAS, there's a lot of people who came back and said, "Hey, that research is inaccurate. Us Tunisians actually didn't come from Africa," and they would present that. They would even cite their sources. Those are my favorite comments, because I may be stupid when I created that video, but once the comments came in and they shared what they know, I'm not stupid anymore. Then I know, right? Then I know better. Then it's improving me and everyone else who's actually reading the comment section. I do not mind being corrected. I do not mind being told I am wrong, for as long as you tell me what is right? And the other thing is that, for as long as the delivery is polite, that as I've said, you're sticking to the facts rather than taking the conversation personally. Another thing, like there's this video that I posted about art being a necessity rather than a luxury. There was this one, I would assume that she's a girl, but she said that, hey, I actually disagreed with what you said. I think art is a luxury, because if you look at like the things that we really do need to survive, art is not one of them. And so really, you can only support and purchase art if you have extra money. And you can't even refute that, because she's right. If you look at the things that you need to survive, food, water, shelter, clothing, art is not one of them. And so if you actually think about it, art is a luxury. But she delivered it in such a way that was very respectful. She was just really stating her opinion. In fact, at the end of it, she said that, but you know what? I don't even care about our difference in opinion. I just like that you posted that because you made me think. Those comments are like golden for me. I live for those comments. And those comments make me realize that even if the video has less than 10 views, but if there's one person that was motivated enough, or it inspired one person to think, I've done my job and I'm all good, I would do it again. And in the same video, there was somebody else who commented and said that the standards that we put on art, he thinks is unnecessary. That it just it should be about what we like. as a person, what art actually inspires us. That's the only thing that we need to think about. And all this valuation of a specific kind of art, those are all um, uh, unnecessary, basically. And his comment actually made me think, like, oh, do we actually need an international standard when it comes to art, or should we just drop it all off because art is not that's art is meant to inspire, to express. So who are we to put a standard on things? So that his comment actually made me think. So those people, I love getting comments like that. As I've said, I don't mind if I actually like it if somebody corrects me, if somebody refutes what I say and actually present an evidence that would prove that I am wrong. It's just it's part of growth, and that's I think, really, and this is what I really think, that when somebody puts a comment like that, I am in the winning end. I'm actually the one gaining because you're sharing your knowledge, rather than me being able to contribute to what you know. So I am in the winning end. I'm gaining. So I like those comments. So remember that when you leave a comment, it's a reflection on you and not on the person that you're leaving the comments to. If you exercised your freedom of expression, then we can do the same. Just because we're putting ourselves out there, just because we're YouTubers putting ourselves out there, putting our voices out there, doesn't mean that we're punching bags. If you want to express yourself, then be ready from when we express ourselves too. Next is that don't be very confident about how your monitor and your computer can actually provide you anonymity. Remember, nothing is ever safe. All information is bound to go out in one way or another someday. So yeah. At the end of the day, I am not able to go through all the comments. I try to. So there are a lot that can actually slip, but I try my very best to go through each of them. So you may have been insulting me and I'm not aware of it. But as I've said, if you do it, you may get away with it. But if I do read it, then I'm sorry, but I'm not the type of person that will take abuse. So I will respond back, or report you. And I also want to thank everybody who compliments me for a thing or two. Really, your comments, like, they're simple comments like, hey, I like your point of view, I like the way that you talk, thank you for this information, or whatever. Those things mean a lot. Those things actually inspire me to do more. So thank you.